Hello, everyone. Lisa Bowles, otherwise known as the Soul Mapper here. It is live for July time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just going to check to see who's here. Hi, Patrice. Hi, Polly. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
Alex is here. Hello. Leslie's here. Pam is here. Nancy's waiting to get in. Karen is waiting to arrive. It's good to see your names if I don't get to see you in the flesh. There we go. We have a really interesting month. So you probably saw from my email that summer's coming in hot, and I didn't just mean temperature. It's been hot in some places. Yeah. The final big outer planet preview takes place for a period of time, and it kicks in this month. And there's a couple of other things that are really interesting that I wanted to make sure we talked about because they could be very, So, and lots of communication stuff. So let's dive in. Erica, next slide, please. So again, if you want to touch in with the notes or the replay for Live for 2025, you might want to take a screenshot of this just to remind yourself. You'll notice that one of these is bold. Our benevolent rebel Uranus is about to move from the last degree of Taurus into the first degree of Gemini. We're going to talk about that. That's the preview. Okay. All righty. Next slide, please. These are the influences still in play. They're shorter. They're not the big backbeats, but they are having effect. And you might want to take a screenshot of this just so you can go in, take a look after we're finished today. And if one or more feel like they're calling your name, you'll notice that the date it began is noted. You can go back into that month's lives notes and refresh yourself, okay? If it's particularly winking at you. And by winking at you, I don't necessarily just mean, ooh, that's calling my name. That feels resonant. That it could be going, okay? It can be that too. All righty. Next slide, please. July. Ready? Let's go. Next slide. July the 4th until the 30th, our charisma of cause, otherwise known as Venus, will be working through Gemini. Now, I'm going to go grab my notes so that I cover all the deeper details. Oh, and watch your replay goodies, because we've got something extra for you this month. Thanks for feedback. I appreciate the feedback some of you have sent me. It's been very helpful, and there'll be an extra goodie. Keep an eye out for it. So, our charisma of cause in Venus. For those of you who took the deeper story of 2025, notice the looking glass, okay? It's because we're in Gemini, okay? Gemini is the thing. And that's one of the two signs I mentioned in the email. We're particularly having sway this month. Gemini is one of them, okay? With this, wordplay is tantalizing, okay? Because our charisma of cause, Venus, is working through Gemini, communication and the use of words in a playful but exploratory manner is super attractive, okay? In part because this wants to help us experiment and wants us to lean towards those who do playfully. If there's kind of a, you don't want to be super, super serious, but you don't want to be absent recognition that there's power in words either, okay? But just know there's tantalizing on both sides of the equation here. There's an urge to dive deep that includes topics that are taboo. Huh? Really? Uh-huh. and taboo in a way that we may not even have recognized we were staying away from. So there's a kind of tantalizing attraction factor that has to go, I think maybe this needs to be talked about. All right. And also topics that challenges outdated norms, provided they resonate deeply with you. Okay. Now, this might be a bit of a departure from the things you normally talk about relative to your purposeful work or your business or whatever the case may be. That's because a lot of us are feeling called to explore more deeply things that we've stayed away from because they were taboo. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I want to dive deeper, and there's layers there that I'm being called to explore. This feels like a departure, but actually in the end, you'll understand it's not, it's related, but hot potato. Okay? Watch too, that you don't get your signals mixed. When we're communicating while Gemini is being expressed through, we can talk a lot faster. And that's a good thing because it will help us talk through our filters. We're not going to go there. Okay? But it often means that the faster we talk, the more we're talking, because Gemini, the less there's deep consideration and unchecked contradictions. Okay? So there can be mixed signals. So I want to encourage y'all to listen to yourselves or have someone listen with you, for you. So if a contradiction pops out, it's reflected to you, not because it's a gotcha, because that's not the point here, but so that you can meet the contradiction and go, how come? And I got more to say about contradictions coming up, okay? Alrighty. Next slide, please. July the 4th, again, it's a busy day, till December the 10th, our dream keeper, Neptune, goes retrograde in Aries. Now, you'll notice Looking Glass. This is from the deeper story, and it's because of Aries, and our dream keeper, Neptune, is one of the great big huge backbeats that is in preview. Okay, so we've been and will continue to be in preview, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. All right. It's been in preview mode for a bit now. All right. And the thing that we really want to watch here is that this kind of unfolds in two parts. The first part is we're going to go retrograde and back up in the sign of Aries. Okay, this is the first time Neptune's gone retrograde in Aries since 1875. And this is going to boost sense of urgency, which is unusual for retrogrades, just saying. But it's going to boost a sense of urgency around, especially around self-care and soul searching. As we kind of confront issues that have been surfacing or niggling, and this is as much in the collective as it is in the individual, issues around identity. Who am I? Who are we? And there's lots of nations asking that question right now. Self-assertion. How well did I do that? Did I under-assert? Did I over-assert? Am I asserting me or am I asserting? Lots of questions. And how you have wielded personal power. If you wielded personal power, and if you did, how did that go? Because this is Aries, it is asking us to become more self-assertive, but to review the who is asserting and the how assertion happens. We're getting a chance to kind of, during this preview, okay, especially around a vision or a dream, long-standing dream, deep dream for all of us, for yourself, and a part of for all of us. How do you handle that? Especially when your vision or dream is challenged or, You get my drift. Okay. Then part 2 takes place from October 22nd until the 10th of December, and it is the last of our lifetimes. Okay. It asks that we attend to lingering emotional wounds because it goes back into Pisces at this point. We're going to go back into the final degree of Pisces. Now, I'm going to say this as kindly as I can. In many, this will prompt a bit of a emotional crisis. Because that whole, who am I? What's going on with us? How do we, and then backs into Pisces at the very last degree, particularly during a retrograde at the end of a complete zodiacal cycle. So we go back into Pisces. This is the final pass before we go firmly into Aries and stay put for a long time. Okay? Decades. And so the emotional crisis is not evidence that you've done anything wrong. It is a surfacing that is necessary. Now, for those of us who support people emotionally, whether you're a therapist, a counselor, you get the drift. This could be a really extraordinary time. Uncomfortable, but extraordinary. Provided they're willing to go where they're being called to go, whether you go because you're being called to go, okay? The other thing I'm going to say is, if this occurs for you, don't try and go this alone. Remember, all this is happening under the umbrella of Pluto and Aquarius says, we don't get anywhere alone. Many of us, myself included, tend to prefer to kind of lick our wounds in private. That won't help because of all the forces at work during these times of ours. So keep that in mind, okay? If you are a helper with these kinds of things, keep that in mind too. All righty? All right. Next slide, please. Thank you. July 7th till November the 7th, our benevolent rebel, Uranus, moves into Gemini. This is a big deal. This is adding more hot, okay? We just talked about some heat. Now we're going to go further, okay? This is the third and final preview of 2025. Gemini will return to Gemini, or pardon me, Uranus, our benevolent, will return to Gemini after a retrograde later in the year. It will return, and then it's going to stay for 13 years. So this, watching how this starts to bubble up and play in your life and in life around you, important. So it's the first time we've been here since 1941 through 1949. Okay. And this is the call to innovate, 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 innovate. Innovate gone wild. So you can expect, and I can hear some voices in my head already, expect the unexpected. And there'll be people out there going, more? Yes, more. The other thing I want you to know is you can expect your intense fascinations, shall we say. The things that kind of were minor curiosities, if they're yours, they're likely to become more intense. And they're not just curiosities anymore. They are, I have to follow where you lead me. I need to know. But it's a need to know that's both mental and, I'm going to say energetic, but it's more than that. It is intuitively connected to our intellect. Because what we're trying to do is connect dots we likely have never seen before, the way this will make possible. Okay? The one thing I just want to say to all of us is, sometimes when our benevolent rebel is here, We can be very throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't do that. Okay. There's a kind of kindredness because Uranus is connected to Aquarius. Okay, overseer. So one of the things that's important here, very, very, very important, is that we don't toss out callously and with disregard tradition. We don't want to stay, frozen in those traditions, but we don't want to be disrespectful or dismissive of them either, because they're there for a reason. There's something alive in them that wants and often needs to continue. But when you put our benevolent rebel in the energy and expression of Gemini, we can be very toss it, just that's so over, and that's not going to be useful. Okay. So please, please, please keep that in mind. Expect the unexpected. Expect intensified fascinations. Because this wants and we need it. Remember, this is our proxy. We need it to help us shake up how you and I, how we communicate, particularly socially, how we connect and engage with the world. Okay? And it's going to supercharge our interest in and the use of tech, particularly communication tech. All right? Like in big, big, big ways. If you're a member of the Current, we're going to be reviewing, we're going to go much deeper into this. Oh my goodness, during the next Live with Lisa, which is Monday, July the 7th. Would have been the 4th, but Happy Independence Day. Okay. Now the preview of the full cycle, okay, starts, this is a preview. The full cycle starts April 25th, 2026 and lasts until May 22nd, 2033. So let's go back to that second last point. How we communicate, how we connect, how we engage, particularly through tech. You may remember me saying when we did Live for 2025 that where we're going, we can't even imagine. This is one of the reasons why. Okay, this is one of the reasons why. This in addition to Neptune and Saturn and Aries, plus the oversight of Pluto and Aquarius. You add all that together, plus everything else that's going on, and all within 8 months of each other. Okay, that's unheard of. We've never experienced this before. So where we're going, we can't currently imagine. Alrighty, and that will be due in part to our benevolent rebel working through Gemini. Alrighty, pay close attention to what you find yourself rebellious about and in the name of during this preview. Pay close attention to your fascinations. Pay close attention to how you respond or react to the unexpected. Just saying, I'm not a fan a lot of the time. I get it. And learning how to help ourselves be with the unexpected with a greater degree of comfort and internal agility is going to be a big deal. All right. Collectively, what we're attempting, this proxy is working in our behalf to help us break free from static, singular ways of doing things and embracing a both and perspective and mindset. Okay? This intends to disrupt the status quo, where the status quo needs disruption. And I want you to know that there'll be places where it does that you might be going like, what? Why? It's here to revolutionize the way we think, the way we connect, the way we engage. And the more we're able to be with that, the easier this will be, personally. Okay? This is going to be one of the most, I'm just going to say, exciting and rewarding transits. But at first, it's going to be hard. Now, the last thing I want to say about this is we're going to feel this one. If you're as sensitive as I am, you are going to feel the shift of this one. We're already starting to. Things have been more excitable in the last week to 10 days, energetically, and, you know, this will be boom. Okay? Do what you can and what you need to regulate your nervous system, to soothe your nervous system. Alrighty? Again, when we did live for 2025, I talked about nervous system regulation as a big damn deal. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Okay? Okay. And you might want to start now if you haven't already. And these are not, you know, when you remember practices, these are, I have to make these mainstay practices in my life. I have been. And that's not, you know, do it every day for X number of minutes, perfect, like, no, but have them additively more and more in your life on as regular a basis as you can manage now and build from there. Okay? Without self-recrimination if you miss a day or you only do 5 minutes instead of your planned 15 or whatever it is. Because if there's an, I'm just going to say it, if your inner world is a dangerous place to be, guess what happens to your regulation system? Okay? This ups the practice considerably. July the 10th, next slide, please. There we go, that beautiful, beautiful moon. July the 10th. This is in Capricorn, full and gorgeous in Capricorn. This is a mid-year assessment time, okay? It offers us a check-in relative to what we've accomplished since the New Year's. In part because it wants to shine a light on the big and the many small moves we've made. All right. One of the things that Capricorn doesn't get enough credit for is the at heart desire for us to see how far we've climbed. Instead of looking up and going, I haven't climbed far enough, although that's in the mix there too. It's the honest review and assessment of what we have achieved and what tweaks we need to make to continue to, and where we're going. It also will ask you, and it might not be obvious, but it's also going to ask us to check in with our resolutions if we made them. Where we are with them, if we even remember them. And if we're not where we thought we'd be, or we don't remember, to ask ourselves, are you really climbing your mountain or somebody else's? Because you were told that was the mountain to climb, to be what you want to be, or have what you want to have. Okay? Now, in this full moon, there's a big, big, big call to ambition and achievement, but without burning out and without making where you've come from, the steps you have taken, less than. Not enough. Okay? It's also a really, really, really perfect time to review and revamp and recalibrate. So where am I? Half of my, this is where I'm going, this is what I want to achieve, half of that really was mine. And half of it, I'm not so sure. Review. Revamp. So what needs to shift or change or, revamp my plan. And then recalibrate myself. So that as I proceed directing myself towards the aims that are mine. Okay? It wants to be delicious. but it also wants to serve as a check against burnout in the name of super productivity, which most of us in the West anyway are driven towards productivity over all kinds of things. Capricorn can be joyless, dry, because it is so committed to climbing, to reaching the peak. And when it works in concert with a full moon and the heart of the moon, it wants us to acknowledge our process and our progress, and to really be in gratitude for ourselves, those that have helped us, and incorporating love, self-love in particular, along with ambition. Okay. Right. Next slide, please. July the 13th till November the 27th. Retrograde number 2, folks. Our inner guru, otherwise known as Saturn, retrogrades in Aries. Alrighty. So it's been in preview mode for a little over a month now. And this also comes in 2 parts, because till September the 1st, it's going backwards in Aries. And then on the 1st of September, it continues its backwards track, but then it goes back into Pisces. Okay, so this is a 2-parter too. And it sort of mirrors and accompanies, mirrors the moves of Neptune, or Dreamkeeper, and is working alongside it, working in tandem. Okay, so Neptune, vision, dream, Saturn, how do we make it real? Okay. This is the first retrograde in Aries since the late 90s. And this first part 1, is going to ask us to review and reevaluate how we assert our ambitions, how we assert power, how we assert leadership. Has it built anything so far, like even just foundational? And if it has, is that building kind of like where we've been, or is it new? Is it does it correspond to the vision or dream? We're a little clearer about that. Okay? And asserting is the big thing. What's our approach been? What's our assertion been like? Because we're in Aries review. Okay? How did we build in previous cycles? Things are under the umbrella of Pluto in Aquarius transformation. Are we transforming our way, our approach, our assertion of leadership, power, ambition? Or are we in proclivity? Now, you don't have to know the answers, but asking the questions from a generous and genuinely curious and open heart, that's what matters. Okay? Part 2, starting the 1st of September and lasting till the 27th of November, asks that we verify that our dreams are ours. Okay? And it means that it wants to give us almost 2 months of review to check, because in cycles past, many of us lived the dreams we were handed, we were indoctrinated into, you get my drift. And this time it's going, let's check. Seriously, check. And the answer could be, partly, but over here, and help yourself look at why. I cannot recommend enough that you attend to yourself during these 2 retrogrades, because the opportunity that it affords us before they both move back into forward movement is priceless. Now, because we got Uranus and Gemini, that's going to pick up the pace. Things are going to be, okay? And it's very, very possible you and I could be like, I'm so busy, I forgot all about it. Put some time into your calendar today or this weekend. And set reminders to help yourself. Return to asking these questions and being in contemplative review. It will help with nervous system regulation. Okay? It also is a very heightened time to cultivate spiritual and artistic talents, to refine your skills, to master the basics, and really to kind of lay a solid foundation that allows you to take things to the next level. Now, I mean no insult when I say this, and I'm talking to myself right along with you. We live in a culture that has us leap and feel often that the leap is all there is, the one. And that's not true, especially when it comes to declaring ourselves a spiritual teacher or a spiritual leader, or if you're an artist, you know that your process is iterative. You know that if you're called to master your particular artistic calling, that it takes practice and devotion and years. That your first works show the promise of the works you'll do 10, 15, 20 years later. The same is true of spiritual works. That's not always recognized. This is going to call your name if you have another level to go. Okay? Be ambitious, but be honest. Where we're going collectively will require those of us who are spiritual practitioners to devote ourselves more deeply, because they're going to need us. Ready? We need each other. Next slide, please. All right, July the 18th till August the 11th, retrograde. Our communication savant, Mercury, goes retrograde in Leo. And this means this is not the typical Mercury retrograde in Leo, okay? For all kinds of reasons. And I'm not going to get too deep into the astrology of it, but here's what that offers us, okay? It will be better to fly just a bit under the radar than get overexposed before your time, your work's time, this iteration's time. So I'm not saying play small, but just know that we could go overbold, which is why that third point says hold off on going overbold in anything, your style choices, your next haircut, like anything. What we're attempting to do is review, so I was going to say this, okay? A beloved client once talked to me, one of the heartbeats in her work was about something she called weightedness. That on the one, and this is not necessarily linear, okay? But I'm going to explain it in a linear fashion because that's what we're accustomed to, but just hold this as much bigger than one line, okay? Right weightedness in the middle. And it's a dynamic, evaluative sense of what is right, what is the right weight to bring to a situation in your, how you show up, what language you use, how you present yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that is slightly dynamic depending on the circumstance you find yourself in. And to her way of understanding, very few of us know how to be here. We're working on it, but so when we feel triggered into I'm not enough, less than, et cetera, or powerlessness, we go into underweightedness. All right? Or even collapse. I have no power at all. Now, given Pluto in Aquarius is about power, that's very alive right now for many people. And on the other end is what she called overweightedness. It was that tendency to put on bravado, bigness, to cover up the fact that we're feeling what we're feeling when we're underweighted. I'm going to get what I deserve. I'm going to get what I'm worth. Whoa. Okay. Dysfunctional feminine, dysfunctional masculine, overpowering. So underweight, overweight, right weight. This is calling us into a period of review so that we can see where we are on that continuum, and particular where we go here, right? So watch for scrambled signals because people will be doing a lot of this, righty? And you might be too. Hold off on the overbold until at least August the 11th, when things start to shift a bit, okay? There is a risk of being too low-key, so don't let opportunities slip by you out of fear or insecurity. This is an opportunity to practice your way into right-weightedness relative to this, and that's not static. It is dynamic because the situation you're communicating or expressing yourself into will be changeable, right? The people will be different, the circumstance will be, you get what I mean, okay? Stay genuinely humble. At its core, a really healthy Leo expression is humble and heart open. But do those things, live that without being too trusting too soon. Okay? Which, yeah, underrated, right? Okie dokie. The only other thing I'll say is that this is a kings and queens kind of vibe because of Leo. And this particular retrograde could bring to the surface some fascinating or even disturbing information about those in power. Alrighty? Just keep your eyes peeled. Not that we haven't seen, you know, some of that already, but there could be more. All right? Next slide, please. There we go, July 22nd till August the 22nd, our force of nature, the sun, shifts into Leo as well. Happy birthday, Leos. So we just talked about that, right? Mercury, retrograde in Leo. So this happens kind of under some of the auspices of that. So take stock. Because this is going to nudge out the exhibitionist in all of us. And the look at me. Because it wants us to see. Because we may have been living it so long, we don't notice it, we don't see it. Where we're overweighted. Where we go too bold. Where we go, you get me? Okay? So part of what's really interesting about that, and again, this is kind of hot. And I just want to say something about Leo. The heart of a Leo takes criticism hard. Because Leo hates knowing that its largesse has harmed. And there's good reason for that, and just keep that in mind. But the exhibitionist nature that's in all of us to a degree is going to pop out so we can see how we may inhabit it at times because we're going over to cover up that we feel under, okay? Now, inside that blah, there will be the call to act. It's going to turn the volume up on the call to act. If we're feeling vulnerable, if we're feeling insecure, if we're feeling underweight, we'll inhabit the call to act as a form of self-protection. know that that will be there. The call to act is still a viable, important, necessary call to act. I mean that. And there's call to act all over the place, but this one means business. It also means to help you see where the call to act is lived in or comes from bravado rather than right-weightedness. So you have opportunity to practice. Now, because this is an unusual retrograde, given everything else that's going on, this comes with a deeply contemplative and reflective tone in the heart of it. It really isn't our usual retrograde either. In Leo, it's like, wow, it could, so let me say that again. This isn't a retrograde, but it might feel retrograde-y because there is a contemplative, reflective tone in it. Because it's trying to help us. Because it's offering us opportunities to witness ourselves courageously and act still. Okay? Alrighty. Now, it still comes with the usual, let's go play, let's go have fun, let's go, because that's something that Leo is also known for. Okay? But there's just this reflective, contemplative vibe, particularly until the 11th, which kind of corresponds with the retrograde. Okay? Now, one last thing. This will also, if the call to act comes, I want to suggest that you look to see if there's a neglected talent in the mix for you, that you're being, let's pull that out. Let's start practicing. Okay? Because it really wants to give you a time to fine tune your vision and bring this to bear on your work and how you talk about it, how you represent it. All right? Now, this is still like a rehearsal period, believe it or not, because, yeah, contemplative tone, but still, it means business for you and for your work. Next slide, please. July the 24th, we have a new moon in Leo. Yamana, yamana, yamana. Okay. This is a reset. And I'm going to be really particular about this. This is a love reset. One of the things that Leo is known for is it has a romantic nature. But I wanted to say that this isn't just about romantic love. This is about the deep, abiding love we have for our principles, our ideals, our vision, our dream. Okay? The love we have for that. This offers us a bit of a reset, a kind of a kick up, an opportunity to help you put yourself back in the driver's seat with it. If, for a variety of reasons, you've been, you know what I mean? Or if your relationship with your spiritual life, the divine, if you've been putting it in the driver's seat rather than both of you driving partnered together, this is also another reset. Okay? This is also working in partnership with Mercury retrograde. Again, I'm not going to tell you about all the various connections, but there's a lot of them in here. And it will urge you, amp up the call to share your deep desires and your feelings. Because your partner needs to hear that. And I don't mean your romantic partner, although that's in the mix too. I'm talking about the people you're creatively partnered with and the divine itself. Okay? It's really important, ultra important, to send as signals that are as clear as possible to the people that matter most in your life and to the divine itself. So you might want to use the time between now and this new moon to help yourself get clear, because we've had a couple of big previews and now we're going into a kind of like a hot but contemplative review, like let's check summer. I meant what I said earlier. Please give yourself the benefit of that review so you can clarify what have the last few months shown you about what you want and why. Okay. It is a powerful starting block for conversation that spark creative projects you may have been contemplating for a while but haven't taken strong action on. This wants to help you get off the starting block. Okay? Again, how can you develop your talent so that as you get it off the block, you're also in development with your gifts, your genius, your talents, because that will become important. The other thing that becomes important too is getting yourself the support you need, whether that's a coach or a teacher or new art supply, like you get my meaning. Be honest about the support that you need and get it. To whatever degree you can, get it. This, although it's out of the ordinary, again, I'm saying that a lot this month, but there's a lot of, this is unusual. We don't normally talk about it this way, but this is a call to partner. So if you try and cultivate your talents, your genius to the next level on your own, things will not progress the way they could. Alrighty? Okay. Next slide, please. July the 30th till the 25th of August, our Charisma of Cause shifts into Cancer. And you may remember that Jupiter moved into Cancer. It's also one of the big social planets, and it's exalted in Cancer. So there's lots of yum going on there. It hasn't been very long, but it's there. Okay, so this adds some extra, okay? Just keep that in mind. Big backbeat, working in concert, alrighty? Because of where Venus has been, many of us have been, and you can see this just because of what we're living in the outer world. A lot of us have been overthinking and watching every move, okay? This wants us to, okay? Now, I'm gonna say this because Uranus, our benevolent rebel, will have shifted into Gemini. That might feel challenging, but the combo of Venus and Jupiter here, who's expansive, okay, will help balance that out. But you're going to have to choose. I'm going to have to choose. And then we'll have to practice. What this helps us do is let our deepest emotional yearnings take the wheel. So instead of, okay? Many people are going to be craving nurturing and comfort. So let me say one quick thing about that. Nurturing, absolutely. Comfort, no kidding. And the part of us that wants an adult to take care of things for us. Some of us will want to return to the way we felt as children. It's a way of loving. We want to go home. We want to go back. If we had that when we were kids, just saying, not all of us did, but to whatever degree, we want to go back to the childhood experience of nurturing and comfort. We're going to have to help ourselves give that to ourselves, to be the adult taking care of our younger parts, okay? So many of us will be craving that. I'm not saying don't offer it, but just know that that will be in the mix. And if you are, remember we talked earlier about development of gifts and talents, especially spiritual ones, please keep in mind that will affect this. Because you could be an unconscious surrogate and that gets dicey, okay? But to offer nourishing, nurturing, comfort experiences that offer them to adults on their way to more because things are nuts. Yeah. Okay. Most of us, many of us are going to feel like rather than booking everything up, so because many of us, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, this is summertime, we're like social activities up the wazoo. And with this, in part because Jupiter's also working here, rather than booking every square moment with social, we're likely to be inclined more towards private, relax, one-on-one or small groups, or you get my meaning? Keep that in mind if you're offering anything to people. Big hunkin' 250 person groups, people are going to be craving quiet and privacy, and you get me? Okay? And this will bring favor to a couple of important things. So domestic matters, and by domestic, I mean actual home, but any place people are involved in the experience of returning to home. Okay, so that might be actual, but it also could be metaphoric. Renovation on the home, shopping for a home or for things for the home. Yeah. And it can also be home, the creation of a home on the internet. So design, building, all those good things right during this. Now, because, yes, you're going to hear me say this a lot. Because Uranus is in Gemini, we can't do the usual things. So there's going to be a bit of a paradoxical, I want to be nourished, I want to be nurtured, I want to be at home. And this going, yeah, but we can't do that the way we always have. So there could be some blah, blah, and holding space for people who are feeling that paradox, probably before they're anywhere close to articulating it, could be a big important thing. Alrighty? And those of you who work on websites, homes on the internet, keep in mind craving versus innovation. Okay? Alrighty. The other thing I'm just going to say about this is watch how or if you're caretaking. Caregiving versus caretaking. Let me see if I can offer you some context. Caregiving that is healthy, that has boundaries, that has acknowledgement, that has a genuine appreciation. And sometimes if it's part of your profession, compensation that's fair. Caretaking is codependency. I'm just going to say that up front. Caretaking, think about the word take, and it's on. So you want to be careful, because this, if there is tendencies or patterns of caretaking in your life, they could surface, and you might want to pay close attention. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. July the 30th till January the 2nd. This is our fourth retrograde. And it's a bit hot. Our curative effect, Chiron, goes retrograde in Aries again. Now, Chiron's been here a while, like years. We actually did a masterclass on this last year. Some of you may remember, some of you may not, but at its core, it's let's heal actively together, particularly around how and where and what we do when we are angry. Okay? This is a big deal. With everything else that's going on, it's a very big deal. We got 4 retrogrades. That's why I said, you know, normally we want to go. So I can hear someone's mic is on. If yours is on, could you switch it off? Or Erica, could you switch it off, please? It wants to provide us with a critical window for review of our important lessons in self-empowerment and the constructive use of anger. Okay, so this was at work for years before Pluto shifted into Aquarius, preview and full-time starting in November of last year. It wanted to give us a head start. It wanted to give us an opportunity and an advantage in terms of this working for us. Some have used it, as you can tell from the headlines. Some have been oblivious to it, because many of us are coming from proclivity around this one. So this is a critical window, and it's additive to all the things we've been talking about. So even though this is not a preview window, it is a call into deeper depths. And we've got good material to be working with around anger right now, don't we? And power. But it also wants us to see how anger that is unprocessed or uninvestigated and just is weaponized and called power. Okay? If you have been feeling silenced or thwarted or resentful, this is a really important time to go do some investigation. It's also a really important time to ask yourself, can I use the power of my voice to intimidate or dominate others? Okay. It's a big nudge to look. It's a big nudge to check. It's a big nudge to keep your attention with yourself. Okay. Okay. That's the question. What we're wanting to help ourselves do is understand rather than react. And in some cases, understand and be with that understanding, to be with it as deeply as we can be without even responding. Okay? If you're someone who feels perpetually talked over, this retrograde wants to get you closer to the core of whatever confidence issues may be standing in the way of your self-expression. Now remember, we've talked about underweight, right? Boom. We've talked about overweight. Boom. We're looking at the notions of underweighted, overweighted, and right-weighted in a variety of ways throughout the summer and into the fall. And there's good reason for that. And It's easier, far, far easier to look out and see it in somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. This wants to help us do our own work. And then come out into the world in service as agents of transformation, more able. Right? Okay. Let's go to the next slide, please. That's it for the big ones. Oh, wait, I'm wrong. Black Moon Lilith. I'm not going to go into the astrology because there's just way too much going on, but I want you to know that in the midst of all that we've covered, Black Moon Lilith's hard at work for us and will be bringing us an intensified urge, partnered with Jupiter, to confront and integrate taboos, which we've talked about already, so we're getting more than one form of help with that, hidden desires, to be a good person, to be a good girl, to be a good, to have your feminine be good. Hide your desires, you're not allowed to have, nope. And this is like, hell no. It also wants to help us get more connected to the lesson, the karma that is reoccurring, that's trying to reach us, to help us evolve, liberate ourselves, heal, so that we can return to power. Okay? Power. Hear the theme? Power. All over the place. And that I wanted to make sure that we covered this, because there's no, but Black Moon Lilith working through Scorpio and partnered with Jupiter right now through the month of July. Okay? Working hard for us. All month long. Okay, next slide, please. So we have 3 opportune days. The last one, we've got 2 moves. Well, no, next slide, please. So first, on the 4th of July, again, very busy day, the 4th of July. Big, big nudge to do something wildly unexpected in the name of what you love. Alrighty? Looking glass. Okay. July the 7th, our transformative charisma. So charisma that aims to have a transformative effect, super amplified this day. Okay, next slide, please. The 24th, the first one, passion and purpose into intentional action, green light kind of a day. Whoa, whoa. Okay, keep in mind, Mercury retrograde, like don't discount that, but, and you might check your own stars, but, and then the 24th, number 2, boldest dream declaration day. I cannot encourage you enough to say what your dream is, your boldest dream, to one person, at least one person, a confidant, someone you know won't, you know, run away with your idea or blather your idea, or someone who's going to respect and value. Does it work if my dream is to be, I can't see that just yet, my friend, so I'll come back to that later. But the 24th of July is kind of a big day. Ready? All right. Even with all the other things going on, kind of a big day. Next slide, please. Hotspot days, 3 of them. And they're all towards the tail end of the month. Next slide, please. The 23rd, communication dust-ups kind of day. Okay. This is not a day I would say go launch your stuff. Notice that it's the day before the 24th. So if you're going to launch anything, launch it on the 24th. If you're going to boldly declare a dream, do it on the 24th. This day, it's just going to be really easy for mixed messages and for people to take offense, really. Okay? Yeah. The 25th of July, notice that's the day right after the 24th. Intense power plays kind of a day, and I mean that most sincerely. So even if you are grounded, you are regulated, you are solid, and you do, a taste test or a webinar, there will be people who get pulled into proclivity who could make things a bit messy. Now, unless you know you are so solid, you could actually be of service to them, I wouldn't do it. I'm not. Okay, just so you know. All right, and then the 31st. Fragile egos flare up kind of a day. Right? Enough said. Next slide, please. David Fields, Yamana Yamana. Next slide. There's a lot of them. God bless Erica. I'm not going to review them all, but take a screenshot, or take a screenshot and put it up. Highlight the ones you know are your purposeful wheelhouse, and notice that they will be amplified. Now there's one I want to underscore, and that is number 18. There are a lot of people who are questioning purpose. What is mine to do now? I think I understood it 6 months ago, but we're in a very different world, and that's not changing anytime soon. So what? Okay, big deal, which is why the summer offers us oodles of reflection and contemplation. All right, and a call to action, because what's really interesting is when much of this is working through Aries, go take an act, go do something you think is related, and the outcome of that action will show you how on target you are and where you might have been off, what needs shifting, what needs improving, what needs rejigging. And then once that review's taken place, recalibrate and go take another step. Okay? Notice number 19. This is new. It's because of the times we're in, and it matters. Depth and stability at speed. Developing the capacity for depth and stability at speed. There's some people who are not going to be comfortable with that, and we need folks in the world who can help with this. All right? And you may feel nudged in that direction, but you may need, remember I said, go develop your talents, your skills. Okay? All right. Next slide, please. Next live for August is on July 24th. Cool day, huh? At the usual 1 p.m. Eastern time. Check your local time. It'll be good to be with you that day. Yes, it will. Next slide, please. And this is where I open it up. I want to hear, if you popped a question into the chat, I wouldn't have seen it because I'm staying focused here. I'd love to see and hear what's moving around in you, what questions you have, if you've had any ahas, if you're uncomfortable. Love to hear it. And if you got to go, I understand it's 9 minutes after 2 Eastern time. If you got people to serve and things to do, then I completely understand. Erica asked, does it work if my dream is to be a significant lotto winner? It can, and I kid you not, but yeah. You're welcome, Polly. Take good care. I hope I see you next time. Anybody got any shares, any ahas, any wonderings? I'd love to hear. I don't see anything particular in the chat. Are you guys all feeling a little like sucking on a fire hose overwhelmed? Or are you just kind of sitting with everything?
Lisa?
Hi, Patrice.
Hi. This has been really helpful to me because I have been noticing, and I haven't known who to share it with, that I paint what I'm intuitively drawn to paint.
Right?
And it's not until often isn't until after it's done that I recognize that it has a correlation to what's going on in the world.
Yep.
At large, and it freaks me out a little bit, a lot.
You're not the only one about that, Patrice.
And I've been trying to figure out, I've been journaling for weeks, trying to figure out how to say it without sounding Looney Tunes to the general public or the people that are on my newsletter list. I don't want to scare off the people. Well, actually, honestly, most of the people on my newsletter list aren't continuing to buy my art, but they do on occasion.
Right.
And this is my mode of making money
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
So it's just, I really appreciate what I learned this morning, and I'm sure I will have questions and trying to figure out who to turn to for advising on any of this, and maybe it's you, I don't know. But I'm just putting it out there because it's a really, and I do seem to be one of the ones who get things ahead of time,
Yeah.
and that's another aspect that's freaky.
Yeah. I hear you. Again, you're not the only one who has a moment of that's freaky. So just know you're in good company there. And are you available on the 7th of July to come to the Live with Lisa?
Let's see. Yes, I
Okay.
am.
So come and let's talk some more, Patrice.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, because you know, the who do I talk to is up
Right.
for a lot of people. Because I've heard that phrase, that question repeatedly over the last month and a half.
Thank you.
You're so again not alone. Who do I talk to? And you know, inside that question is the recognition that there's need to talk it out so you can make more sense of it and then be who you're called to be with it to whatever degree, in a way you feel right about or on the mark about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So know that it's as much about how do I find my place in this as it is about where do I go to even talk about this? Because this is right. Okay. So if you can come again, this is for members of the current. This is us meeting up on the 7th of July.
Do you know what time it is?
1 o'clock Eastern as usual.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we moved it from the 4th of July because.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll look for you, Patrice.
Okay, I'll be there. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and we can explore further.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Anybody else got anything they want to explore or just?
He's got his hand up.
Pardon me, Erica?
Richard has his hand up.
Okay, Richard, and then Karen.
Cool.
Hi, Richard. If you're talking right now, I can't hear you, so your microphone might be turned off. Erica, can you see if Richard's microphone is active?
Yeah, his microphone's active. I just don't know on his end if something's disconnected.
Oh dear. Richard, you want to give it a tweak and see, and then right now we'll talk to Karen and I'll circle back to you. Is that okay? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I'm just gonna proceed with Karen and I'll circle back, okay? Karen. Sorry, Richard, was that you?
I'm just clicking on the, I have 7 different microphones trying to figure out which one's live.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I can hear you now.
Great. Thanks. So my question, I got a bit lost on the discussion about Chiron retrograde in Aries. And
Yep.
there was one statement, provides critical window to review constructive use of blank. I missed the critical word.
Okay.
You remember what you're talking about? So what was the whole?
There was a lot we talked about. So hang on, let me just go back to my notes. Oops. I have to refresh my memory. Okay. In self-empowerment and the constructive use of anger.
Oh,
Okay. If you're being, especially if you felt silenced or thwarted or resentful, because the resentment could be connected to those two experiences. But see, one of the things about Chiron is critical to our path to liberation, our healing and our path to liberation, so that we can masterfully help folks with the same or similar hurts we have experienced, that we have to walk through it progressively ourselves. But when we have a big hurt, especially around voice and the right to be who we are, it can feel dangerous. So rather than know ourselves to be silenced or thwarted, we'll feel resentful because it's a couple of steps away. That feels safer to feel. And so when this retrograde begins, and you may feel it a little earlier, because again, many of us are sensitives here, it will give us a really important window to be with the feeling and follow it into whatever depths are now available to us to explore and begin to heal. Does that make sense?
oh my God, I'm getting chills because it's now that I understand what you're talking about, it's probably going to be really huge because of what's going on
Yes, sir.
socially, political around the world of so many different classes of people being silenced and dissed and made to disappear. And
Right.
gosh, if that's going to bring that up and we need to process it ourselves to be able to help other people move through it,
Right.
yowie yowie.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Got it.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. Walking with you, friend. And I'm just going to say this. Don't try and walk through that by yourself. Again, Aquarius, Pluto Aquarius.
Yeah.
This is not the time. It feels, for many people, it feels riskier than ever to reveal our pain. And to reveal our pain to no one means that moving forward is unlikely to happen. Not the way it once did, because that time has passed. And we are attempting to live the call to transformation of humanity by not walking our own healing journey alone.
Absolutely. And I'm one of the ones in this crowd that feels all this stuff
Yeah.
4 to 6 months before other people. I just had a week at a retreat with gay men and had 4 counseling sessions on this issue with people bringing up stuff of being silenced, thwarted, put down, not seeing
Yep.
who they are,
Yep.
going to tears. And yeah, my having gone through it was able to help them.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. And don't be surprised if this calls you deeper, because this is an iterative process. We can't clear generations of pain in one go. It's not what we're built for. So take good care and know you're not walking alone, Richard, okay?
Well, and that's exactly what I told them. And I said, hey, this is the first step. There's more to do. This is what I suggest you look at next.
Yeah.
And I even sent them to talk to other people and heard back that that was helpful.
Good for you.
On track.
Good
Wow.
for you. Yep. See the listening. See the listening. So this is a really good example, y'all. You blank out. I didn't hear that, or it went so fast I couldn't catch it. And that's a wave from us to us. This one's calling your name. This one's speaking to you. Pause. Go deeper. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for bringing it up, Richard. I
You
appreciate
bet.
it. And again, walking with you from here.
Walking what?
I'm walking with you from here.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Karen, I believe you were next.
Yes, I don't know if my observation is as profound, but what I was thinking as I was just listening to all of the different moves, something came up for me that I had been thinking about the last couple days myself, and I don't know, I heard it somewhere, is that my ambition used to be, I think, to prove something to other people. And I think that I'm switching out of that needing to prove something to others into this more of the sacred ambition. And I think that's when I listen to the whole month, that's kind of what I'm hearing, is this opportunity to really look at what is our sacred ambition versus this wanting to be ambitious for other people, or what it looks like from the outside. So I just wanted to share that that's how it.
That's great. Thank you, Karen. Beautifully said. Yep. And sacred ambition puts another light on the things about which you feel ambitious and why, and how your approach shifts and changes because it is a sacred ambition. And I'm just going to say, we need a whole lot more sacredly ambitious people in the world today, because there's a whole lot of people living it from proclivity in really big ways. And examples like those of us attempting to live it from sacred ambition, that's really meaningful right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Thank you. Peggy, did you want to say something, or did I?
Thanks. No, I couldn't figure out how to raise the hand. So thank you.
Yeah.
First, I wanted to just say how much I enjoy the various people who chatted, Karen and Richard, their voices and sharing. It's just a lovely community. So I just wanted to call that out, because I know you've been cultivating this for a while. It's lovely community.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool. I must tell you, I have been en route doing multitasking, and so haven't been able to fully focus. But something just took my breath away when you said depth and stability at speed.
At speed. I knew that would talk to you, Peggy.
Wow.
That's you.
I got the at speed. I'm working on the depth and stability.
Right.
If you have a chance to say a little bit more, great. Otherwise, we could also dive deeper when we meet next.
How about I offer some now, and we can go deeper when on the 7th of July.
Great.
So, and that's why I called it out, because there are a lot of people who can go really fast.
Yeah.
But the depth to which they are venturing is limited. And it's often intellectual, it's mental, which means that more of who they are isn't present. And it gives other people in the space with them permission to stay there too.
Okay.
It doesn't elicit depth. If we don't know how to be at depth while moving quickly, and I don't mean, bullet train fast.
Right.
I mean faster than deep has traditionally understood or meant.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So how can we go deeper and be stably there? Regulation. And move at speed, because Pluto and Aquarius and now Uranus and Gemini are going to mean faster. I mean, they already have. They already have. I mean, look at the volume of stuff that's happened in the last 5 months, 6 months.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. It's left many of us breathless. We are in training.
Okay.
Okay. So that's another thing that's unusual about Pluto and Aquarius. Traditionally, transformative periods have a lot happen because we're trying to move some big stuff, but they tend to kind of, you think about 245, 250 years ago,
Yes.
what was going on then, there was spaces between things because we didn't have we didn't have what we do now.
Yeah.
There's instant communication now. Okay. So everything's different because of that and more. We've never had all the major planets, all of them, change sign. 2 of them at the very beginning of a brand new zodiacal cycle to boot. Within 8 months, 2-3 years, and never in this particular formation. Never. So we are asking ourselves to move more quickly than we're accustomed, but that means people like you and I need to step up our practice game. We need to help ourselves, just in general, to be able to go to depth and remain connected to that depth as stably as possible. So when we're called to go fast or just meet speed, we can do so from a place of inner quiet and slow. If we are internally slow, and I don't mean unable to keep up slow, I mean, okay, then we can go the right kind of fast. There's a guy who wrote a book years ago. The Canadian title of it was In Praise of Slow. The author's name is Carl Honore. Honore.
Okay. Thank you.
I would suggest you give that a read.
Okay.
Because what he talks about is, it was a precursor. He was forecasting because it had impacted his life tremendously. He was speaking from calling. He still does. But there's some important understandings in that book and in his following books, but that's the first one that many of us would likely find really helpful today. He's not suggesting that we become Luddites and unplug, and people, that may be the wisest thing to do, but not if you're an agent of transformation.
Right.
Being able to go deep and remain there stably while meeting speed, that's the thing. And you and I can go deeper into that next time we speak. That's part of the Uranus and Gemini thing.
No, thank you. And I'm also wondering, I'm starting to notice that maybe it is a different kind of depth, and it might be, I'm just starting to notice maybe signal between noise or trends.
Yeah.
That catch my, like, whoa, okay, what was that as the velocity picks up?
Yeah. And in some cases, like, we're going to be moving at speed just because Aquarius, Gemini. I mean, there's no getting around that. It's how do we be with speed without it running over us?
Right. And
how do we help people be at speed? Because what we may need to do is temporarily kind of go, come on, slow down with me just a little.
Yep.
So that people can enter a pocket of congruence with you.
Yep.
And then move forward again. Taking what was touched, what was recognized, what was You get what I'm saying? So that when they begin to move back, they take that with them.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, it almost feels, when you said that, I had this feeling of a train pulling up into a station and just stop for a moment, the doors open, and then you get in. Okay, now we go again. But there's
Yes, ma'am.
this collective pause.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm in no way surprised that it's switched.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Can I speak up? This is Maggie.
Hi,
Is there
Maggie.
someone before me? Hi.
Hi.
Maggie, thank you so much for that. And Lisa, that was really helpful because that also really popped to me. And for me, it's always the speed. That's the harder one. But so just having that expanded is just really helpful to hear. And I love that train image, Peggy.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
And I think the only thing that is giving me like, oh, I know I've been practicing the depth, obviously, and the regulation, but that people have been saying it to me, people who don't normally even talk about such things. So I like the idea that maybe I can be the train and then keep going with some faster speed that I'm used to.
Yep. So I'm going to pop a word in here. So to hold it with this,
Yeah.
So our reactions to the idea of speed will be power reactions. Oh, this could run me over. Oh, I can't, it's not. And
Right.
so the idea of going fast is a power issue. And we're looking at and asking questions about power from all kinds of angles. So when you bump into something that makes you go more breathless and has your regulation kind of flip, know that you're addressing a power issue.
Power in oneself, of fear of power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yep.
And I want to thank you too, because you just brought me back to a core part of myself, the athletic side of me, which was never afraid of fast
Right.
or being run over. So I remember that I have a part of me that knows that.
That knows
thank
it really well and helps you
Yeah.
stay in your body too, Maggie.
Right. So thank you for that. I would not have come up with that if you hadn't just said that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I would imagine that your athletic self also knows that in the midst of running fast, there's a quiet inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a tuning in
That's right.
and paying attention.
A sharp.
And also, when you go full speed and then there are pauses
That's right.
to take stock.
Yep. Yep. And so the notion of going fast doesn't mean in perpetuity without the power to pause.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you. And thank you, Peggy, too. This is so great.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Sylvia's got her hand up.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi,
Hi.
this is just phenomenal. Thank you, Lisa and Peggy and Richard and everybody. I mean, I can't even tell you this notion of depth and stability at speed has just completely illuminated,
Yeah.
why I've been kind of on this journey of these these wisdom conversations, and why I have, I'm angling over into doing private ones, but why I still see the small group ones. And I mean, I just realized that what happens in that experience is that we actually have depth and stability at speed.
Yes.
And the analogy, thanks, Peggy, for that train analogy, because what came to mind was, it's like actually being on a high-speed Japanese train where the speed is smooth and quiet.
Yep.
And it can pause whenever you need it, but it gives you a feeling of being in the flow
Right,
instead of being jarred by speed.
right, right.
And yet you very swiftly go into depth. That's extremely stable. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This is in many ways an aspect of Aries expression. Fire, more broadly, but Aries in particular. That in combination with the call to speed, because Aries that comes from Aquarius and Gemini, both air. Because what Aries wants to help us do is experience it. It's the call to experience, not a mental, it is in the body, in physical life, and the notion that I can do this. I can, which helps return us to a sense of power, but not power over, power with something that is inherent, but not necessarily lived the way it could be possible as we go. Did I say that in a way that was connected and made sense with this?
Yeah, that gives it a whole, you have a big bow on that.
Yeah. Because direct experience over the course of this next 20, 30 years, direct experience, big damn deal. Big damn deal. And you'll hear more about that from me as we go, but direct experience of the divine, of insight, of power, like direct experience. It's a big deal. Okay. Anybody else? We're just past 2:30. It's 2:36 here, Eastern time. So I'd like to wrap this up. Has anybody got a burning share or burning question before we call it a day today? Remember, we have our private Facebook space, only we see. So if over the course of the next week or two, something occurs to you that needs conversation, you can come over there. I'm in and out of there quite regularly. Anybody else? Did I miss anything, folks? Did someone ask a question? I just haven't seen it. Okay. It's a big summer and a big year. And if we practice reminding ourselves and then taking small practical steps towards the practices that help us stay rooted in ourselves, even when we hear things like speed or big or hot, we're on the right track. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough to be here so that you could receive this information for yourself in your own life, but for all those that you support and offer love and care to. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please turn your microphones on so I can hear you say goodbye. Thank you for thanking Erica. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, thank you.
Bye.